So if you're watching this, you're probably in your mid-20s or even late 30s or even late 40s. And you're probably still trying to figure out what is your career path in your life. In fact, I think most of society today is stuck in this hedonic treadmill, so this so-called happiness treadmill, and they really don't know what they're doing or where they want to go. And you can just look around you. Most people exiting university or college, they don't have a shadow of an idea of what they like as an individual or what to pursue. So the question is, what can you do to figure out what you want to do in life? And that's not an easy answer. And school's not going to tell you or show you or teach you what to do in life. Society is not going to tell you or show you what to do in life. It comes from you really doing a deep dive in yourself, understanding who you are, what you and be by achieving. Everybody has their own goals, their own ambitions of what they want to accomplish in your life, whether that is wealth, health, and progeny, starting a family or giving back to the community, etc. That being said, listen, if you're in university right now and you're trying to figure out what to do in life, I think that's the wrong question, because at the end of the day, there is no final destination. The journey itself, as Joseph Campbell talks about, the journey itself is the destination, okay? So, instead of you trying to now think of, oh, I want to become an entrepreneur, I want to become an electrician, I want to become an accountant, don't define yourself as these roles. Remember what I said before with the Vedic saying, if you label me, you negate me. Instead, what you need to ask yourself is, what are principles in your life that you stand by? I call these non-negotiable principles, things that no matter what you do in your life will not change. What are your values? That is a principle. What is your ethics? That is a principle. What type of lifestyle do you want to engineer? That is a principle. So you want to create this foundational constitution of your life, and this constitution will determine what direction you pick in life. And let's be honest, if we look at the lifespan of a career path in an adult, we will see that they have different jobs, they have different careers, and they have different times in their life to do different things. This is a given. It's really rare that you meet an individual that's been doing the same thing for the last 30 years. And right now it's going to proliferate even more because, let's be honest right now, the gig economy is here. Ubering, Airbnb, things that you do on the go. The whole notion of unionized jobs, of full-time jobs, with full benefits, and having a secure, guaranteed job, that's out the window, okay? Big question comes into play. Since there is no more secure jobs, and right now the ecosystem it's literally at a precipice. Like, we're in this crazy phase right now where society is transforming away from the Industrial Revolution into the new automation, robotics, AI, cryptocurrency. It's quite amazing, and there's never been more opportunities on this planet than a lot of people talking about universal basic incomes, but that's a whole different topic in video, which hopefully I will make, I will make very soon. Like I said, it's really about your principles, and I wouldn't listen to anybody. I'm a firm believer in experimenting in your life. Do as many micro experiments as possible. And with these micro experiments, what you're doing is you're also trying to build and absorb as much information and skills and talent as possible, because it's a shame if we see most people who leave college, university, or most people who are stuck in their career right now, they're not really elevating or expanding their intellectual capital, their network of people they know, and becoming a better and more valuable human being. If you want to make sure to stay relevant in what's happening in society right now, you better be upgrading your intellectual capital, and you better be upgrading how valuable you are. Seth Godin talks about this in Becoming a Purple Cow. So are you this purple cow? Most people, they'll go out and become passive. So if they're looking for certain jobs and they consider jobs a career path, they'll just apply because they're not really thinking outside the box, and because that's what everyone tells them to do. So they apply for this job, and so does the next fucking 1 million people apply for the same job, and no wonder you don't get the job. Or if you do get the job, you kind of get bored right away. You're just there for a paycheck. Let's be honest. I would say good solid 70% of people who are in big corporations are just there for the paycheck, and they do this for years on end without becoming a better version of themselves, without even increasing the knowledge and increasing the valuability of that said individual, okay? So going back to the micro experiments, regardless right now if you're in your career and doing whatever you're doing, start experimenting on the side. I'm a firm believer in allocating time in your life to run experiments. So I'll give you two case examples right now. You're in university and you're trying to figure out what type of job to do. Instead of going with the norm like everybody else does, go opposite and really follow your career path. I would say follow you being a human being, a happy human being. Follow it based on the principles, like I mentioned, that you have set in your life, these non-negotiable principles. And on kind of a segue over here, I really recommend that you Google Ray Dalio Principles PDF, the whole workbook and booklet. That's one of the most powerful and important pieces of material that you can read. And if you guys don't know who Ray Dalio is, he runs Bridgewater, probably the top 3 most successful funds of all time. I think he manages over $80 billion in his fund. So he's a one smart ass motherfucker. Okay, so now since you have your non-negotiables, you have your principles, do your micro experiments. Since everybody's going right, you're gonna go left. And you're gonna actually, you're gonna go towards things that will actually challenge you, will push you to become a better person. I call this the anti-fragility equation, as Nassim Taleb talks about, because you don't want to be fragile, you don't want to be like glass, you don't want to be dependent on systems and dependent on jobs or dependent on the government or dependent on the economy to just get by, as they say, or in my abbreviation, the best I've heard before for a job is just over broke, just squeezing by from paycheck to paycheck. As opposed to with your non-negotiables, with your principles, you're going towards things that you know for a fact will increase your intellectual capital, will increase your value as an individual to society. So if everyone's going for the regular accounting jobs, or if they're going towards, you know, whatever, these entry-level positions, why not do something different, completely different based on your principle? That's one example from university or from school. Another example, let's say you're in your career right now and you're kind of fed up what you're doing. Obviously you have bills to pay, mortgage to pay for the kids, family, etc. It's going to be quite foolish to just quit and then all of a sudden your cash flow dries up. However, first identifying your principles and identifying your non-negotiables and kind of really engineering your life once you have that, and that takes time, and some recommendations for you and suggestions for you to kind of help you on that path is from Jordan Peterson. You can just type in Self-Authorship by Jordan Peterson. It's an amazing resource. Highly recommend that you do it. Doing that in conjunction with the Ray Dalio principles in part 2 of the workbook, those two go hand in hand quite well. So if you are in your career path right now, like I said before, once you have your non-negotiables and your principles, how you want to engineer your life, what you would do is you would figure out how can you allocate, so let's say even an hour of your time per day to do micro experiments. So let's say in your job right now as an accountant, you don't like that, but then you realize with your non-negotiables that maybe you like more project management into a startup, or maybe you actually like teaching languages on the side, or maybe teaching piano. It's a skill that you always had, you developed. How can you allocate an hour of your time day by day to actually see if this is a viable option for you in life? Because remember, life is really, really short. We have a very small finite amount of time on this planet. And for you to waste it based on other people's suggestions for careers, or for you to waste it just because you have a job and you have a paycheck, that's the biggest crime in the world. And I'm being really honest, the biggest crime in the world is for you to waste your life. There's nothing more greater, there's nothing worse in life than a person who is body abled and he or she knows that they can do so much more to waste their life. So that's it in a nutshell. It's not really advice on what to do, but it's more or less building systems and principles and non-negotiables. And maybe this can help you out. I'll share some non-negotiables with me. Non-negotiables with me is like time management. Even though I'm an entrepreneur for most of my life, my non-negotiable, I'm big on freedom. I don't do any 9-to-5s or anything like that. I engineer my timetable how I want to engineer it. Another non-negotiable in my life is no matter what. And remember, non-negotiable isn't just for career path, it's for your whole life. Non-negotiable for my relationship with my fiance is once a week we do something together. That's, you know, whether you want to call it date night or partner's night, but it is booked and not booked on an exact date, but no matter what, once a week we do something. You know, non-negotiable per day that I do with myself is walking half an hour to 45 minutes, regardless of the weather. That's non-negotiable. Non-negotiable for certain business partners that I have. Non-negotiable for what I want per month for cash flow for me and my family, right? So these are certain non-negotiables that I have, and based on these principles and ideologies that I want to live my life and engineer my life, I will then determine the blueprint necessary to execute these non-negotiables. And that's pretty much the biggest problem I see in society today, and I've had this problem for years and years, is that nobody really takes their time to figure out what they truly want and who they are in life, because we for the most part, in most of society, they live very passively. So that being said, is they listen to their parents, they go to university, they listen to whoever the fuck they listen to in university, they get brainwashed and manipulated by the university, educational system, which is a farce, and then from there on in, they're sucked into the crowd effect. So everybody else is like them, and then next thing you know it, they blink, they're 40, they're stuck at a miserable job they don't like, maybe a relationship they don't like, and they're paying into a mortgage for 50 years, and they have car loans, and they're in debt more than $500,000, and they're depressed. And that's the majority of society right now. So don't be depressed. Take your time, do these exercises that I mentioned, and the career paths, they won't even matter anymore. Once you have these principles and non-negotiables in your life, everything is secondary from there on in. All right, guys, there you have it. Leave a comment below this video, share this video, and peace.